Good day and welcome to the Leading with Nice Daily. My name is Matthew Ewell, and this week I'm very excited because tomorrow on Tuesday we are launching a brand new podcast. It's long form, about 30 minutes, where I sit down with some of today's brightest and most thought-provoking leaders and talk about leadership thoughts, questions, and ideas with them. That launches tomorrow. So this week we're going to be talking about some lessons I've learned from talking with these thought leaders in leadership. And the first one I want to talk about is Jack Armstrong. Now, if you're not in Toronto, the day I'm recording this is the day after the anniversary of the Toronto Raptors' first World Championship victory last year over the Golden State Warriors. And they are still, as of right now, the reigning champs. Norman Powell, reigning Eastern Player Conference of the Week. Good for you, my friend. That's the longest Eastern Player Conference of the Week streak, I think, ever. Anyhow, Jack Armstrong and I sat down just before Christmas, and one of the most interesting things he spoke about was actually not anything to do with basketball or the boardroom where he's also worked, but it had to do with how he attempted to build character and help his children build character. He's the father, him and his wife, of two 20-somethings. They're both off at college now. And he spent some time speaking about how it was really important for him to take time every day to be intentional about giving them not necessarily a tip or a suggestion, but instead to ask them something that would be thought-provoking for them. And it was so wise because when it's the teach the man to fish or give him a fish scenario. If you're just imparting wisdom on somebody every day, how much of that is being retained? But if you challenge somebody to think and maybe go beyond their comfort zone or look at something in a different way they never have before, how impactful is that? And leadership is all about influence. So that's Jack Armstrong's tip. The podcast is releasing tomorrow, but the trailer is available today. You can subscribe at Leading with Nice on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. For more on this, though, check out our website, leadingwithnice.com, where we want to help you inspire others, build loyalty, and get results. Talk to you again tomorrow. Good day and welcome to the Leading with Nice Daily. My name is Matthew Ewell, and this week we're talking about my new podcast, which launches today. Hooray! I wish there were sound effects. I actually don't wish there were sound effects. Austin, do not put in sound effects. But yeah, so today the podcast is released, and what I did is we spent probably about a year interviewing thought leaders, leadership professionals, people that are looking at the world in a way that they seek to influence others. And the one I want to talk about today is my interview with Dr. Paul Magness. Now, Dr. Paul Magness was my professor at Briarcrest, where I did my leadership and management master's. And he has over 50 years of teaching experience, leadership. He was a president of the college or seminary as well. And he just brought so much to the table. The thing that he is really excited about today in 2020 is hero making. So if you look back into the literature, what you'll see is we went from a time of management to leadership. And the management was very self-focused, right? Very about how you can be better, how you can be the best version of you. The leadership was about influencing and how do you influence others. But what he's excited about today is the literature of the new books. The majority of business and leadership books coming out today speak about hero making, because people today don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to buy in. They want to co-own, co-develop, co-lead. So today's successful leaders, he says, are ones that are actively thinking about how they can be a hero maker, how they can bring others alongside. For more on this topic, visit leadingwithnice.com and definitely check out the website to get the podcast today. You can get it on Stitcher, Google, Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcast from. We want to help you inspire others, build loyalty, and get results. Talk to you again tomorrow. Good day and welcome to the Leading with Nice Daily. My name is Matthew Ewell, and this week we're talking about lessons I've learned from a new podcast I launched yesterday. It's called Leading with Nice as well, and it's an opportunity where I took to sit down with different thought leaders, people that are asking interesting questions that are really pushing the envelope in the leadership realm today, and interviewed them and talked about leadership. So today I want to talk about one. It's not released in these first three, but it's coming up. And it's with Dan Goddard. And he's a pastor of a church in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. But what I found really fascinating about him is that he spent about 6 months doing in-depth research, a deep dive into what do we do with leaders when they have a moral failure. Now, this could be, morality, of course, is a band. So what's moral for one may not be moral for another. But when that failure comes, what do we do with it? So he had some really interesting thoughts, and he actually has a list of what to do. But I'm going to share one with you today, and it's this. What do you do with all the great content that leader has produced when they've had their fall? Now, do you throw it all out? I don't know if that's really the right answer, because the teaching and leading can be very good still, but is it worth anything now that it came from that leader? It's really difficult because you hold these leaders that you're taking their advice from in such high regard. So when they do have a fall from grace, it hits you personally and you don't know what to do. However, human beings are complex. And so Dan would say, you need to separate the teaching from the person. And, we look back at historical figures, and lots of historical figures were not awesome people. Churchill, for example, is often quoted and often looked up to, but he did some pretty bad things in his day that were quite public. And that's not to say, excuse leaders, but it's just to say, separate the teaching from the individual. We certainly do that with historical figures. We could do that with leaders today that have moral failures. For more on this topic, visit Leading with Nice, where we want to help you inspire others, build loyalty, and get results. Talk to you later tomorrow. Good day and welcome to the Leading with Nice Daily. My name is Matthew Ewell, and this week we're talking about my brand new podcast called Leading with Nice. It's available right now on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast, you can get it. And I'm just highlighting some of the guests that I spoke with in half-hour interview type format. And today I'm going to talk about Amy Gurecki. Now, Amy Gurecki is the Executive Director of the Science Teachers Association of Ontario. And why I wanted to speak to her is she is the solo employee of that organization. She's the Executive Director, as I said, but she has a volunteer base that is massive, probably dozens of people. So I wanted to know, what is the secret to working with a board, especially one that is going through lots of change? The previous person in that position had been there for decades and left. She was new, and since then she's actually accomplished quite a bit. There's been a governance overhaul, communications overhaul, everything is changing. So I wanted to know, how do you accomplish that? And one of the simplest pieces of information was over-communicate. So you're thinking, that's not a problem. I do that already. No, Amy would tell you, if you think you've over-communicated, over-communicate some more. You have not done it enough yet. And she is leading through so much change and so many volunteers. All the members are teachers, and there's a few others who are not teachers that are still members. But it's really about over-communication, being clear, setting vision, not necessarily for the entire organization, well, that's part of it, but even the vision for what you're trying to accomplish in that subset of time. So Amy has a lot to say. It does not release this week, but she'll be released in a few weeks. However, if you want to subscribe, I encourage you to. Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts, or on leadingwithnice.com, where we want to help you inspire others, build loyalty, and get results. Talk to you again tomorrow. Good day. My name is Matthew Ewell, and welcome to the Leading with Nice Daily. This podcast is 2 minutes every day, but this week I've been talking about a new podcast. It's long form, 30 minutes, and I sit down with leaders who are really pushing the envelope in their thought space. So today I want to talk to you about actually one of my former bosses. Her name is Penny Kurlick, and the reason I sat down with her, she's been working for the Centennial College Student Association Incorporated for, I'm quite not sure, but more than 20 years for sure. And what she is really great at is making people feel welcome very quickly. And it's a great leadership trait. And why I wanted to really dig into this is every year she has a new board of directors that are elected by the student body, and they come, and in 1 year they often want to accomplish so much. So you probably have colleagues or reports that are kind of feel the same way. They're young, they've just been hired, and they want to be president tomorrow, or they want to act in ways that would, maybe be a president-like way. So I asked her, how do you manage that? How do you, make them feel so welcome, but also, make sure the ship is still pointed in the right direction? And she had this to say. She's like, never take young people for granted. Never dismiss their ideas. Now, she wasn't saying that because, all their ideas are great. There was much deeper than that. It was this. When you dismiss somebody's ideas, especially a young person, and we're talking about millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, when you do that, you're really telling them that they're actually not valuable. And that's a horrible message to portray. There's a great trick I learned, and instead of saying how, it's saying wow. And I actually worked with a gentleman who did this really well. I would come with ideas, and I learned pretty quickly that when he said wow, he was really saying, oh, interesting idea, but we're not going to do that. So when your reports come to you and your colleagues come to you, instead of saying how, say wow. They'll feel great, you'll show enthusiasm for them, and they won't feel poorly or bad about their relationship with you, at least for that reason. I'd love for you to check out the podcast. It's on all the platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get it there. It's called the Leading with Nice podcast. And I'd love you to subscribe. We've released 3 episodes this week, and there's more coming every week. But for more on this topic, visit leadingwithnice.com, where we want to help you inspire others, build loyalty, and get results. Talk to you again next week.